What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Near Protocol today. It is the 11th day of June. Here we are at about $1.99 with roughly 11 hours left in the day. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. And let's get into it, okay? Let's get into the price action. We do have, on the daily time frame here, a bit of a double top. Unfortunately, we were excited for the prospects of going higher. To me, it is a bit odd and uncommon. Just because it's odd and uncommon doesn't mean it can't happen. But it's odd and uncommon to get that far above the 0.5 and not find the golden ratio as a target area. But hey, it happens sometimes, especially whenever you have a large holder such as Arthur Hayes selling publicly, and anybody, any of his constituents or people that are on the inside, or people who are paying attention to him and basing their moves off of his stuff, they could be selling as well. There's a lot of selling pressure that came in up here. Again, retrospectively, at prior areas of resistance, at prior areas of support, it makes sense. Just running with the fibs, I would have thought that we'd go a little bit higher. I think we would have if there wasn't such massive selling pressure. But looking at this on the daily time frame, at this point in time, you can see that we do have a clear kind of M shape here. And I do believe that we are getting set to go lower here. I very much do. I mean, we look at this candle right now, today's candle, you have a pretty big wick to the upside. You've come back down. Very nice bearish engulfing candle yesterday. And that bearish candle yesterday was a reaction, a direct reaction to the rejection here, the resistance we found to the 2 days prior at prior levels of support. Now down here, I did say I think we get back above $2, but the thought there was, do we do like a slightly lower high? Do we come back up? Do we see a higher high? Is it just going to be a little insignificant pump like this and then we move back down? Very, very doubtful at these levels that we would see a higher high. Very doubtful now, especially. But looking at this here from a high to a low, going to the 382, that was the minimum target. And typically you do wick just above the 382. So this is what gave me a lot of confidence that we'd go just above $2 there. So 225, 226, great area to find resistance. I think the highest target we had really was like 260, 250. You've gone below your 382, gone below your 236 here after finding resistance at both, and I would think that you do continue to persist lower. So let's draw that out. Let's see what that would look like. Now, overall, this M shape either started here or it started here. I'm not going to say it started all the way back here, but however you want to draw it, it started at one of these points. Typically with M patterns, you'd expect to go back near the point where you started, if not even through the point that you started. So looking at it in that simple kind of format, I would expect that we do at least go somewhere around $1.60, let's say $1.70 to $1.40, somewhere in that area, if not below this level here, maybe even below $1.30, $1.20, something like that. We look at this in correlation with those lows, from a low to a high here, finding resistance at the 236. Man, just look at this. So first and foremost, high to low, you found resistance at your 382, wicked above it, closed below. The classic minimum move before moving lower, just relative to that fib. And then you take the overall fib from a low to a high, not the fake out high, but just the initial high here, bouncing off the 382 and then rejecting the 236. This is a classic maneuver when working your way down to the golden ratio, and typically that's the call. And look at where the golden ratio is, right here, where I would say that M pattern started. So something around $1.36 to $1.25 is looking very likely at this point in time. Does that mean that we're going to dump off like this? Is it just going to be a quick sell off there? I mean, maybe, but probably not. This was pretty aggressive. That was pretty damn aggressive. This is an aggressive move in itself. Calling for a move like that down, that's still pretty aggressive. It could take longer than that. It could take some time. It might be the middle of July before we're down here. There might be some excess volatility in the meantime. Who knows how it looks, but that is the next target area. $1.25 to $1.36, $1.37. At a minimum, it would be $1.58 right here, which also could make sense in the sense of this M pattern. Maybe we find significance at both. Maybe you move down here, you find some support, and then you continue to move down overall, completing the move down here. And then you probably do continue to go lower with time. But now that I've given you a kind of general overview of what's happening over the days, over the weeks, maybe even over the month to come, and I don't mean the month of June, I mean like within the next 30 days, would be my suspicion. Let's go into the short-term stuff. We'll zoom back out to this long-term stuff at the end here. Looking at the 1 hour time frame. You can see things are kind of rolling over here. You do have a bit of a downtrend forming, lower lows, lower highs, but it's the 1 hour. It's not the most significant time frame. The RSI does look bearish. The stochastics have rejected the overbought zone. They look bearish, and the MACD is bearish overall as well. Not really that impressive. 4 hour time frame does look bearish as well. We look at the RSI. You clearly have lower highs here in this trend, lower lows here in this trend. Probably going to come down, get into that oversold zone. The last time you got oversold, you saw a robust move to the downside. I would expect the same thing here. Again, not as robust as this, but something that does generate some selling pressure that probably takes you down below $1.60 if I had to guess. So being on the 4 hour time frame, we could expect to see this over the coming days, if not maybe over the coming week or 2 weeks at the most. That makes sense to me. The MACD here, rejecting the 0. It's not good, not a good look. With everything else in combination, I would think that we do probably go lower. Daily time frame, zooming back out a little bit here, looking at the RSI. You had a kind of head and shoulders pattern on your RSI, and now you're reaping the rewards of that. You do have higher lows and higher highs overall here, but you're rejecting the 50. I think that you're going to come down, man. You found support here and you moved up. Found support here, you moved up. Found support here and you rejected the 50. Doesn't seem strong, seems weak to me. Stochastics are getting oversold. You had a chance to get out, but you just rejected that, so you're staying in the oversold zone, bearish, rejecting prior points of support, bearish. MACD is technically bullish so long as these oscillators are above the 0. You are technically still in a bull trend, right? You still do have higher lows and higher highs. But all that can change. If you build a little bit more bearish momentum and you cross below the 0 here, that can definitely change, and that can promote further decay as well. We look at this on a weekly basis. This is where we're going to talk about the lower stuff, okay? We can get away from Coinbase. We can use a different chart, more all-time history, less volume. Oh, I've got all this stuff drawn on here. At the moment, it really does look as though you've got this kind of double bottom going on. And this is what I mean by you're overall in a bullish trend still. You still do have higher lows. And I would say, really, as long as you're above $1.25, there's still a chance that you could move higher. All this bearish stuff could happen in the short term, and you could still come back up and move higher. I mean, you've got a pretty interesting macro setup here overall. If this were to be a double bottom, this W could play out the same way that this M pattern is playing out. You could have the M pattern play out here, relatively speaking, and still move up as if you're in this double bottom W. Anyways, if we do move lower, if my assumptions are correct and we do move lower than this low here, then this would likely be the high, low to high here. And the expectation would be that we see something around our all-time lows, if not below our all-time lows. 59 cents to 37.9 cents, 38 cents, something like that. 59 to 38 cents. That would be the target area. Anything and everything in between is fine, but more specifically around, if not directly at one of these levels here, would be the expectation. Another reason we were bullish at the low here is that you're at prior points of support. If you were bearish at the highs, which we weren't bearish at the highs, I thought that we were going to go a little bit through that, honestly. Bullish from this point to that point, but didn't call that top perfectly, that's for damn sure. If we rejected here like we did before, we're probably going to find support here like we did before, and I think that's what we saw in that move that took us to like a 225, whatever. Once we break below this level here, I think it becomes more likely that we're going to go below this low. But again, we're still maintaining that higher low trend. There's a chance that we recover. In a week or two, I might have a change of heart. I might be calling for prices that are back up here. We'll see. Time will go on. As we come down, we could be in some type of head and shoulders pattern here, inverse head and shoulders pattern. That could be the case, and that would definitely be a bullish signal as well. I'm actually kind of curious on that note, considering that. Let's look at this with some volume on it. No, the volume profile is all wrong. So probably not an inverse head and shoulders. But that's okay. Anyways, I think I've given you guys enough to think about. I've gone over all my thoughts and what I'm considering for the price action here. $2.02 now. Likely we will move below $1.60 and potentially as low as $1.25, and that'll be our next support kind of area. When we find support, I don't expect that we're going to do this. I suspect that we'll find a lower high and slowly work our way down. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.